Hi guys, welcome to my channel. As the title says, I'm going to tell you guys about my birthing story of my second child. And yeah, let's get started. Oh, before I get started, like, comment, share, let me know about yourself in the comments below, and click on the subscribe button and the little bell so you can get the notifications. Let's get into this. Oh, don't mind me. I'm in my moo because I breastfeed and I need to be in comfortable mode all the time. Let's get into this story. So it is Tuesday, January 22nd, when I went for my final checkup with my final prenatal visit. And at the time, I was 40 weeks and a couple days. I think it was like 40 weeks and 3 days or 4 days or something like that. I was past my due date. And I went to go see my midwife, and I was 0% dilated. I've been like this. She's been checking my cervix for like 3 weeks now, and I've been 0%. I was so bummed because this is my second child. Everybody was saying, oh, second children come sooner, they come before the due date, they come at 37 weeks. So I was kind of like expecting to have a spontaneous birth, is what I call it, because I had got induced with my first child. So I kind of wanted to know what the feeling is of just having your water breaking wherever you are and then having to run to the hospital. But that wasn't the case. So after I left my prenatal visit, I called my husband. I told him everything that he needed to know, just update him. And he was like, well, at the time it was like 11, because I like my visits early in the morning. So it was like 11, and he was like, well, I'm at work, and call your mom, see if she could take you up there, and tell me what they do and if you're gonna have to stay, so I could call my job and let them know everything or whatever for the days he wanted off. So, excuse me. So my mom came up there around 1 o'clock to my house to pick me up. And then I went to my daughter's school, got my bag ready, and then I went to my daughter's school, got her early dismissal, and then we went straight to the hospital. And when I got there, you know, they sent me to labor and delivery, and the front desk worker or the receptionist, whoever she is, she was just like, oh, that's not how we do things here. Since you don't have a doctor here affiliated with this hospital, I don't know what to tell you. We'll not be able to keep you. We don't do this, all this other stuff. And I'm like, well, I don't know what you're talking about, but my midwife said, this is what I needed to do. If I was past my due date, just come up here and y'all go and figure the rest out. And she was like, well, I don't know. That's not how it works. So I'm going to see if they could get you back there and triage. But it's, you know, like she told you, we might not keep you and blah, 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 since you're not in labor. So I'm looking like, okay. And I'm like, Jesus, I know you got this. So they called me to triage. And the sad part is my mom couldn't come up with me because my daughter was with me, and she had to stay downstairs with her because it was flu season. They don't let kids, blah, 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 all this other stuff. So when I get there, they're like, oh, we're going to do the fetal stress test. It's good you got all your paperwork and blah, blah, blah. So they did the test, and I see the nurse come back, another nurse come back and like got an IV, and I was like, what is this for? She was like, oh, they didn't tell you, we're keeping you. And I was like, oh, great. Let's have this baby. So she was like, okay, we're going to be transferring you in a little bit. So I called my husband. I'm like, they keeping me. Come here to relieve my mom so she could go home with my daughter, because my daughter has school the next day and all this other stuff. Mind you, I'm in Chicago, so around this time, it's freezing. We're going through that little freezing time with like the negatives and the windshield being horrible. It was ridiculous. So it's Tuesday, and my daughter, I had told my daughter's teacher that she might not go to school. So my mom was like, okay, well, we ain't going to school. So then they transferred me to the room, and now my actual nurse is going to be taking care of me for the night. The residents came in so they could insert the balloon because I had to get induced. And I was kind of scared of the balloon, but it wasn't as bad as I thought. Because, you know, you think of balloon and you're like, it's a balloon, but it wasn't that bad. And she was like, well, the procedure takes 6 hours, but usually we do it twice because nothing usually happened. We might have to pull the balloon back out and put it back in. And I was like, okay. But in my head, I'm like, Jesus, do your thing. Like, get this working. And she left. I was playing my gospel music because I needed to stay calm. You know, at the time I wasn't in any discomfort, didn't have really contractions like that, or they were mild contractions, so it wasn't that bad. So 6 hours later, at the time it was 7, so around like 1 or 12:30 in the morning, they came back, and they came back to check on the balloon, and she was like, "Great news, the balloon is out. So that means you're 5 centimeters." I was like, I'm like, awesome. And she was like, "Everything's going faster than we thought, so you're doing really, really well." I was like, "Oh, great." So mind you, I'm at a teaching hospital, so it's like residents and interns and all types of people coming. So she was like, "Okay, so we're just gonna keep monitoring you, and I'll be back in a couple hours so I could check up on you." So the whole time, like, my heart rate, the baby heart rate kept going down, and they kept having to flip me, rotate me because her heart rate kept going down, and she just was really distressed in my stomach. They had to put my bed back, put balls in between my legs so that I could be leveled, so she could be in comfort, so her heart rate could be steady. And because of that, they was like, "Oh, you might be at risk of emergency C-section." And in my head, I'm like, "In the name of Jesus, I rebuke thee. I'm not having a C-section or whatever." So so the nurses was like, kept asking me for epidural. Mind you, I'm at 5 centimeters. The contractions are mild. I'm like, I could do this. Like, I don't need an epidural. I kept telling them no. Every 30 minutes, she's like, "Do you want an epidural?" I'm like, "No, I don't." But my baby heart rate just kept on dropping. They had to put me on oxygen. And she was like, "Okay, Mom, here's the thing. I understand that you're dealing with the contractions pretty well, but if we go into emergency C-section, you might not be able to do chest to chest with your daughter, that 1 hour time that they recommend to have with your newborn. You might not be able to do that because if you don't get the epidural, that means we're gonna have to put you under anesthesia, and it's gonna take you longer to come back, and blah, blah, blah." So she kept like, "Well, okay." So I asked my husband, he was like, "Well, it's your body, you don't want feeling the pain, so you make the choice." So I'm like, okay. So I was like, "Okay, fine, I'll get it." Not that I needed it, because I really wanted to go through this without any epidural. So she brought me the epidural and, got the catheter going and everything or whatever. And then I just felt a big gush like that. And I called her, like, "My water broke." She was out her grade, so they had to do all the stuff they needed to do. So they kept checking on me. And the whole time they kept checking on me, now let's get into this epidural. Let's just say they had a student put in my epidural, okay? Mind you, if anybody out here been pregnant before, getting epidural while you're having contractions is not fun. And the process just kept going. You gotta stay still, and you got these contractions. Like, it's not the best feeling in the world. And my nurse is like, "Okay, you're doing great." I had to bend my back and do all this other stuff. So he kept poking me. Okay, they kept asking me questions, and I kept feeling like the thing was going on one side. It's like, "Oh, you might have scoliosis." I ain't never heard this before in my life. I ain't never had no scoliosis, but whatever. They're saying all this stuff because my spine's not straight and blah, blah, blah. So I'm looking like, okay. So after they put the epidural, I was feeling contractions on one side of my body. Like, what? So I had to keep calling. They kept asking me, "Oh, do you feel this? Do you feel that?" Blah, blah, all this other stuff. I was like, "Well, I feel the pain on one side." So they had to send somebody else in so that they could fix it and give me more dosage and stuff like that. When I tell you, towards the last hours of my pregnancy, I was so miserable because, one, I had to get on oxygen. 2, and I hate being on an oxygen mask. And then 2, I had to, they kept having to do all these different stuff. And I hate when they check my cervix. I think everybody do hate that part, but it was horrible. They kept having to come check my cervix, and they were like doing all this stuff. So towards the end in the morning, it's like 7 in the morning, and my contractions was getting stronger, but I was feeling great because I had an epidural. So then my baby heart rate kept on dropping, and I'm like, okay. So they like, I'm like, okay, I feel this baby, because I could feel the baby going through my birth canal and everything. So I said, "I feel this baby," and then they're like, "Oh, well, no." So they took the little bands they put on your stomach to check on your heart rate my heart rate and the baby heart rate. They stuck some sticks in my vagina. Could you imagine laying in the bed, already going through hell, and you got a stick in your vagina talking about something? Oh, they're supposed to see how strong my contractions are. When I tell you, I was so uncomfortable, and I was over it at this time, because now it's going on almost 12 to 14 hours. I was over it. So now they got the stick, they got the catheter. I'm just so uncomfortable. It's 9 o'clock now. They come and check me. They're like, oh, you're 7 3/4 centimeters dilated. I'm like, amazing, you know, like, come on. So now I can feel, you know, they say like when the baby's in your birth canal and your pelvic area, you could feel it. It's feel like you gotta poop when you're gonna have the baby. So I kept feeling the pressure of the baby's head pushing, and I kept calling my nurse. I'm like, nurse, I feel like I have to poop. She was like, well, that's normal, woo, blah, 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 because she was there when she said I was 7 3/4 dilated. So I'm looking like, this is labor. Anything can happen. I can jump from 7 to 3 to 10 in any second. So I kept calling her like, I feel like I have to poop. Nope, nothing. I feel like I have to poop. She's like, that's normal. That's normal. Like, girl, I know my thing. Leave me alone. So then I had the thing, and then I'm like, I feel like I have to poop. She's like, no, you don't. And basically, she didn't say no, you don't, but she was just trying to tell me like, no, you know, she's in plain terms like, no, you don't. So I'm like, trying not to push. Oh my gosh, let me call the resident. Girl, I've been trying to tell you this for the past 30 minutes. So now they come. Mind you, I wanted a mirror. And she called her and she was like, oh, let's have this baby. I'm like, yeah, let's have this baby. I'm ready to have this baby. And then she was like, I was like, where's my mirror? Girl, they like, oh, I forgot it. Mind you, since last night when I was in the hospital on Tuesday, I said I wanted this mirror. Had the mirror ready. No, the nurse had to go get it. And it's time, my feet's already up and I'm ready to push. Like, I'm like, forget the mirror. But no, she had already left, so now I gotta wait. So she brought the mirror. I was a little bit happy because I got to see it, because I really want to see it. Am I the only weirdo that want to see what's going on with my body? Because last time with my first pregnancy, I wanted to see it, but my husband forgot. So it came and have it. Now, this is a teaching hospital. There's a whole team in the room. There's like an intern. There's like the epidural person. There's like a couple residents, the main doctor, the delivery resident that's actually, I guess, like the 5th year, whoever she is, the fellow, whatever, I don't know. It was like at least nine people in there, because now you have the baby nurse and all this other stuff, the nurse practitioner, everybody named Mama was in there. So I'm like, okay, can I start pushing? And girl, it was like after a couple pushes, I pushed that baby out and I pulled the baby on me. I started boo-hoo crying. And typically, I am not a crier, but I cried because I went through 15 hours of hell. And it was horrible. Like, my first pregnancy was not horrible. I mean, it wasn't horrible, but it was just like, I went through so much. Like, they put me through the ring work with all these little fancy tools that they have. So I was crying, and then my husband took my baby to have skin to skin, because they were still working on me, stitching me up, and getting my placenta out and all this other stuff. So, man, it was something else. Going to a teaching hospital was a lot, because it was my first time going to a teaching hospital, but I had a great experience overall, even though like I went through all this nonsense. And then man, breastfeeding was something else, but that's a story for another video, just like the following one. And yeah, that's pretty much my birthing story. And now I am 5 weeks postpartum, and I'm doing better. Like I've went through some tough times, but I'm doing better and working on baby to have a routine with her sleeping and stuff like that. But yeah, I hope you like the story. Comment below, tell me about your experience with your babies if you have any, and like, comment, and subscribe below, and hit the bell notification. See you later next time.